Welcome to the morning nerdy news. I'm your host, Gray Falcon. I got several things here to do today, but I just wanted to put out a reminder here at the start of the video that if you like my content, if you are someone who wants to make sure you get regular updates, make sure that you are clicking the follow button here on Twitch. If you're over on YouTube, click the subscribe button. Really helps me out long term with getting those subscribers, getting those views in there, and for you to know when that information is going up. You can also hit the little bell over there if it makes a difference. Also, follow me over on Twitter as The Gray Falcon, and I post up there when I'm going live as well, so you can get the information through there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get into the news now, and first up, I want to make mention of Destiny and what could be a bug. So if you've watched my content, you know I really enjoy playing Destiny, and this morning I finally got what is supposed to be my little medal here for defeat 80 enemies in a single match without dying, and well, it didn't happen. So this was taken first as a screenshot, and then second screenshot shows that it didn't award the medal to me. So if you're having this issue, make sure you let the Destiny team know, and I've already sent my thing over. Hopefully they'll get this fixed, but if this is a bug, they need to get this corrected, because it is not easy to get 80 kills in Gambit anymore, especially given that it's just that one playthrough and you have to do it without dying. So I put quite a bit of effort into this. So you come across bugs like this, make sure you let them know that there is something going on with this and we get these types of things fixed for the game. Alright, and over into the main story news, we have Super Nintendo World opening delayed again due to COVID-19. So basically what's happening is in Osaka, they are issuing where their state of emergency has just been declared due to rising numbers of infections, it says. So this is going to indefinitely delay the opening of Super Nintendo World over there. So if you were hoping to head over to Japan, or if you live there, or you know someone who's over there, expect that you're not going to be able to get in anytime soon. This is something that was supposed to be built into Universal Studios here in the US, so hopefully we don't see those delays by the time it's up and ready and time to go for it here in the States, but not a good sign for first testing, first trying to work out the kinks over somewhere else, so we know what kind of mistakes may happen or could occur with all this stuff running, since it seems like it's mostly going to be kind of a one-for-one thing in comparison to what they have over there versus what we're getting over here. All right, and then we also have the iconic Renault 5 is coming back, but it's coming back as an EV. So Renault makes cars, if you didn't know, and they are pledging to have 30% of their fleet be electric by 2025. So this means that they want to ensure that they are moving out of the gas engine market, making that a lower responsibility overall for their expectations on what's going out, and want to compete more with the likes of things like Tesla and be able to get these iconic vehicles of their past out and on the road as electric vehicles. And they're hoping that by getting this one out there with so many people having loved this vehicle in the past, that they're going to be able to go in and just be able to continue with using that infamy in order to bring out sales of it. And I'll just flip through some of these photos so you can see the different images of this concept. But there we have that. And speaking of EVs, Tesla is having some problems. The feds asked Tesla to recall 158,000 vehicles over failing touchscreen displays. So there's a chip inside of the display, and that chip is failing earlier than it's supposed to. It's just not lasting as long, and this is primarily in the older vehicles from 2012 to 2018. So if you've bought one that's brand new, this has supposedly been fixed in the newer vehicles, and any vehicle that is within the 8-year, 100,000 mile warranty can already get this replaced for free or if you've already had a replacement done and you paid for it, they will reimburse for this. However, if you are outside of that, this is something that's, you're kind of SOL. So it's one of those things where they're now looking at this and saying, oh, you probably need to just do a recall on this and fix this in all the vehicles. We don't want you trying to weasel out of this by saying, oh, you're over 100,000 miles. You no longer qualify for this. Or you bought one of our first models back in 2012 and, well, look at that. You're outside of your warranty period. So we'll find out if this actually follows through, what happens with this. But this is being issued by National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. So we'll find out if this actually gets pushed through by U.S. regulators, or if, you know, Tesla says, okay, we're not going to do a recall per se, but we'll maybe expand what we're willing to replace. But hopefully they just do the right thing and say, okay, your car has this problem, come in, schedule an appointment, we'll take care of it, we'll find out. But that's going to be it for the tech news. There wasn't really any gaming news that happened today in regards to video games, so we're just going to go ahead and jump into the Magic the Gathering segment. And we're going to talk about a couple of new cards in here. It's going to be a little bit shorter discussion today, but hopefully that means you're able to move on to other content and potentially watch me play some Destiny here a little bit later on today, since I've got a bit of free time with everything else being done today. All right, but first up, I'm going to cover what we have as a new spell in white, which is Search for Glory. Now, this is a snow sorcery, and what it does is you search for your library for a snow permanent card, a legendary card, or a saga, reveal it and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. So we're getting a tutor in white, and then you also get 1 life for each snow mana spent to cast this, so you could get an extra 3 life. Really not a big deal, not a whole lot of point in, you know, tacking that on there, but they did. Honestly, I think that this is good overall, that there is a tutor being added into the set. It just gives us a way to pull a card, even though it is very limited on what you can actually get. It's not just any creature. It's got to be a snow permanent, which does reach out to non-creatures. It requires it to be a legendary card. Again, does not have to be a creature, or a saga card, which sagas aren't creatures. So overall, very good for just being able to find things, but it limits its capacity in some ways and expands it in others. For 3 mana, that's really not terrible. I kind of wish that instead of the life gain, though, that you could have done a foretell for 2 snow. And then you just have to pay 1 snow to get it out at a later turn. I think that would have been a much better reading on this card, especially since, you know, this whole foretell mechanic and having that mix in with the snow mechanic would have been really cool. And then we have another one, which is Starnheim Unleashed. And Starnheim Unleashed, what that one does is create a 4/4 White Angel Warrior creature token with flying and vigilance. If this spell was foretold, create X of those tokens instead. So we've had cards like this before, but the foretell, where it gets rid of that 2 and then you just pay 1 white mana and then multiples of 2x, you can then cast it and get multiple angels instead. So you go in, you create all of these tokens, and it allows you to basically get basically for 2 mana you're getting 4/4 angels beyond the initial, you know, 1 tax. So that is really nice for this, a nice little token pusher for larger creatures in white at a lower cost than what these have typically been, because some of these have had a pretty high price before even getting to the XX in order to be able to cast angels. And you look at some of the other token cards that exist out there and you're like, why does this cost so much? Just because they have flying? It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense as to the extreme cost in these. So it is nice to see that they're using the foretell mechanic to allow this to push a token generator at a lower cost for white. And then we're going to come down into blue, where they have a very, very nice sorcery that also takes advantage of the foretell mechanic again, which is Aldrins Epiphany. And if you haven't seen this yet, the base of it is create 2/1/1 blue bird creature tokens with flying, take an extra turn after this one, and then you exile it. So initial cost is 7 mana, kind of pricey. That's, you know, gonna make you have to wait a little bit in order to get this into play. But with foretell, you pay the 2 and it drops that, and you get it for 6 instead. So you can play it a little bit earlier, get that end game effect a little bit sooner. And given that this is blue, if you play the proper commander, you could have this foretold for 0 cost, and then it's going to be out on the battlefield for 6. At least that's what I hear foretell is. I have heard a little bit of disagreement on this. Watching some of the Magic stuff, I believe it's just the 2 that gets reduced to 0 with the new commander. However, the way the card reads, it reads like the foretell is the 4 blue. So hopefully we get some more clarification, but right now it does seem like it is going to be the pay 2 that gets removed with that. So sorry for the earlier videos that had that confusion and listed that differently, but one way or another, we are going to be getting a discount with this. I wanted to continue on and get into a couple of the Berserk creatures. So in black, they didn't get a legendary or a mythic spell like we see in white and blue, but they did get Burning Rune Demon. And he is a demon berserker, and some of these berserker abilities are really interesting. So he is a flying 6/6 for 6 mana, 2 black and 4. And when Burning Rune Demon enters the battlefield, you may search your library for exactly 2 cards not named Burning Rune Demon that have different names. You do reveal those cards, and an opponent chooses one of them. Put the chosen card into your hand and put the other in the graveyard, then shuffle your library. So for 6, you are getting a 6/6 flying creature that also tutors 2 cards. Now, one of them goes in your hand, sure, you can cast that, but the one that goes in the graveyard might be more important. Given that this is black and graveyard recursion, you could potentially have if they pick the wrong card or don't pay attention to your deck enough, they could very well be letting out a monstrous creature out of your graveyard that same turn or the next turn with this. So that's going to be a important card, I think, in a lot of graveyard recursion decks if you are looking for something that is going to give you that tutor effect as well to ensure you get the proper cards that you want in there early. We also have the Eradicator Valkyrie, and this is an Angel Berserker. And with this one, it has flying, lifelink, hexproof from Planeswalkers for 4 mana, and it's giving you a 4/3. And it comes with the boast ability where you attack, you boast, you sacrifice a creature. Each opponent has to sacrifice a creature or planeswalker. You activate this ability only if the creature attacked this turn and only once each turn. So the fact that you attack with this, you boast with it, and, you know, maybe you have a token, maybe you have that graveyard recursion, so you don't care what you sacrifice, your deck is already built for the sacrifice, and you're just whittling away your opponent's creatures, but this is only once per turn. So if you have one of those cards that give you extra attack phases within the same turn, you can't boast with this multiple times. This does put that limiter on that. All right, and then also in Berserk, we are going to have to head down into red, because this is where we see the next Berserker, where we have Calamitybearer, who is a giant Berserker. If a giant source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. So that's pretty hefty. You can get some massive giants, and Cinderheart Giant, which is right over here, 7/6 trample. You have Cinderheart Giant out with this, and Cinderheart Giant, not hard to get. When he dies, it deals 7 damage to a creature an opponent controls, choosing at random. So not only are you getting 14 damage out of this, and because it's trample, that carries over to the planeswalker, or it carries over to the player, and then that's another permanent. So I don't know if that doubles again. That's going to be something we're going to have to check with the rules committee on something like this. If trample works with this, they block with a creature. Well, it doesn't block all the damage. They throw a 1/1 up in front of this. Well, it's now 14 damage. It deals 1 of that to that, and then it hits the creature behind that. If it doubles again, that's a lot of damage that builds up really quick, but we'll have to get a rules committee call on that one to see if this doubles with trample every time you go through with this. So we'll find out. And blocking with multiple creatures, if that allows it to be doubled on each and every single one of those creatures, and then that trample carries through, that's going to pick up a lot of damage really quickly with that ability. But again, we'll have to wait for the rules committee to rule on that one, because this is a brand new thing and I don't know where this is going to fall exactly. But continue on down here, we also have Magda, the Brazen Outlaw, who is a dwarf berserker. I believe we've already covered her before, but I didn't want to go ahead and just cover this once more since we are talking about berserkers. And it has other dwarves you control get +1/+0. Whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped, create a treasure token, sacrifice 5 treasures, search your library for an artifact or dragon card, put that into the battlefield, and then shuffle your library. So again, another nice big ability and special ability that are coming from these berserkers. Even again over here we have a 5/4 with Boast, where it deals 1 damage to any target. Well, there you go. You're attacking, you got a 5/4, and you get to ping something. So you attack someone and you can get rid of a chump blocker, and maybe they have to put up something bigger in order to block this then. And then we have another giant berserker down here, which is Quakebringer. So again, big on giants in red right now. Your opponent can't gain life. At the beginning of your upkeep, Quakebringer deals 2 damage to each opponent, which again, if stacked with our Calamitybearer, now is 4 damage. This ability triggers only if Quakebringer is on the battlefield, or if Quakebringer is in your graveyard and you control a giant. So even if they kill this berserker ability allows you to go and ping them with that other giant in play for 4 every single turn, as long as there's a giant in play. And specifically, if you have that one giant, it's going to get nasty. Plus, this one can be foretold. So again, just allowing you to take a card out of your hand, wait till later. You don't have to worry about it being force discarded because it's been foretold. Really, really nice ability there with the Berserk. And so if you get a card that says Berserk on it, maybe stop and read through that card, and it could be a big difference maker in your deck, because those abilities really seem to be powerful if they are putting a Berserker subtype on it. Aren't really any Berserkers in green. I am going to go ahead and cover the couple of vehicles that popped up today. So we do have a new vehicle, which is Funeral Longboat, which has vigilance and only requires 1 to crew. So Magda allows this to get crewed by something little, and then you're able to get that treasure, have a 3/3, and attack. So all of a sudden, turn 2, you can crew it just to get that mana. And then we have Raider's Carve. And Raider's Carve is another vehicle where whenever Raider's Carve attacks, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may put it into the battlefield tapped. So again, with dwarves, crew 3, you tap 3 dwarves, you gain 3 treasure, and then you're able to draw a card, it's pretty good. So a way to ramp, so land card, you put it into the battlefield tapped. So overall, this could potentially put you up 4 mana in a turn by tapping 3 dwarves. A pretty good ramp for red. That's going to be it for today. Thanks for hanging out. Remember, if you haven't already, click the follow button, click the subscribe button, follow me over on Twitter as The Gray Falcon. Until next time, have a good one.